Hello you guys, James Charles here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I purchased literally every single makeup sponge that has ever existed and we are going to find out which one of these is actually the best sponge for your makeup routine. We got bigger sponges, smaller sponges, fatter sponges, skinny sponges, oddly shaped sponges, and even a new sponge that certain content creators on TikTok are claiming is better than painted. So in today's video, we're gonna test every single one of them out and rank them against the painted sponge to see which one truly is the best. Our criteria is going to be price, size, and most importantly, performance. Without further ado, let's get to blending. All right, it is time to start blending in some foundation today so we can see which makeup sponge on the market really is the best. I have all the sponges off to the side and I also have a gigantic painted paint bucket filled with water so we can get every single one of these sponges saturated, soaked, squeezed out, and ready to apply. But before all that, as you guys always know, please go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up down below. Your love and support really helps the channel a ton. And a lot of you guys are coming back every single Friday at 12 p.m. PST, which I greatly appreciate, don't get me wrong, but you're not subscribed. Come join the family. It's completely free. If you change your mind at any point, you can always unsubscribe, but I know that you won't because we upload lots of fun content every single Friday, and I would love to have you in the family. So click that button if you're watching on your TV. You can always swipe up and subscribe that way, and click that bell icon so you get notified just like this every time I upload a new one. Let's get right into this. You guys know the drill. We're here at Ulta. At this point, I really should be paying rent with how often that I'm here. Today, we are going sponge shopping. Whenever I'm here, I love to spend all my money on all new makeup products, but I'm limiting myself today. We are only looking for the craziest makeup sponges. Let's see what we can actually find. Where are accessories? Oh, Morphe sponge. Let's get it. Maybelline, no sponges. Makeup Revolution, no sponges. CoverGirl, no sponges. There's a sponge shortage. Oh, the Ulta brand blender sponge. Look at that fun shape. Okay, we can get that. Oh, big sponge, huge. Is that a beauty blender? And how much is that? $16. $16 for this. You know what? I've always been nice in my beauty blender comparisons because it's a good sponge. $16 for this motherfucker is highway robbery. Let's review. Ulta Beauty, let's see. I think that is probably our full collection of Ulta sponges. I mean, we have a nice little selection here. For one store, not bad. We still gotta go to CVS, Target, and see what we can find. I think we should check out and then go to the next store. Next up for more sponges, CVS. I don't really know what they're gonna have inside of here, but we're gonna find out. Let's see. Right over to the makeup accessories. Is that a sponge? Nope, it's a bath bomb. Compostable blender infused with rose water. I'm sorry, infused with rose water? What does that even fucking mean?
Got rose water in it.
Thank you, Albert Einstein. Oh my God. C Gems face set. Should we buy this just for that? Oh, it's fucking locked. Oh,
He's stealing!
this is crazy. I guess the seashell is gonna be our only sponge here at CVS. There's a couple more sponges, but we've already ordered similar ones off of Amazon. So we'll try this one and those out when we get back to the house. Y'all already know where I am. More sponges, let's go. We've located the beauty section at Target. I haven't been here in quite a while. Lots of new fun things. Oh, found the sponges. Oh!
That's a nice one.
That's a big one from Sonia Kashuk. Body blender, makeup sponge duo. Should we try this one out? My mom used to have shitty little blending pads like this that I used to use in her powder foundation back in the vintage days when I was stealing products from her makeup bag when I was a little kid. Before all of this, you know? We already have all of these. Oh, look at this! This stupid shit that you put your finger inside of. Finger blenders. I'm gonna show something else inside of there. James. Just kidding. I think that's it. Not a lot of selections at these different stores. Luckily, we ordered pretty much every sponge online. Let's go home and actually start applying some foundation. Also, to make this a fair experiment, we're gonna be using the same exact foundation for every single sponge to see how it applies. If I change the foundation in between, obviously that's gonna give favorability to some sponges over the others based on different materials, sizes, textures, whatever. So we're using Natasha Denona brand new High Glam foundation. I actually just wore this out to an event last night for the first time ever, and it went might be one of the best foundations I have ever used. So the fact that this is so good might honestly help some of the lesser struggle sponges in the bunch here, okay? We're gonna give it a nice squeeze out onto our painted mixing palette. And the first sponge that we're gonna use today is, of course, a painted oversized sponge. Now don't click off, okay? I'm not gonna keep yapping about this and make this a whole marketing commercial. You guys already know the painted sponge is amazing, so I don't wanna bore you, okay? But to me, the painted sponge is a perfect 10 out of 10 in all of our different categories. So I figured this would be a good one to start off with. That way we can compare everything else to it after the fact. Now this is the painted sponge fully dry, but of course we have our bucket of water. So we will go ahead and dip it right in. Now with all these sponges, I'm gonna let them get fully saturated with a couple of different squeezes underneath the water surface. And then I will fully wring it out because we want the sponges to be damp, but never soaking wet. We'll give them all a really good squeeze. And then once all the water is out, we are officially ready to apply. Now we're gonna dip the butt end of the sponge into the foundation a couple of times to get it nice and coated, and we will start applying. And now, as you guys know, the reason I love the painted sponge is because it is so big and super soft, so you can really get a large area of your face completely covered very, very quickly. If you are a busy mom on the go, trying to wrangle your kids in the morning, if you are a college girlie that woke up late for class, if you're in high school and you're trying to look cute for your crush in science class, if you're a drag queen, if you're just a plain old makeup lover, this painted sponge literally works for everybody. Look at how good that applied. Also, if you'll notice, quick disclaimer, I'm not gonna do my full face of foundation with every single sponge because I will have to wipe it off in between. So my skin is already gonna be raw by the end of this. I don't wanna go too crazy. We're just gonna do a small little area to test and see how the sponges actually apply. But as always, to me at least, the painted sponge is a perfect 10 out of 10. The price, only 10 bucks. Literally half the price, a third of the price as some of these sponges here on the table next to me. The size, when you add water to it, it gets huge, but not overwhelming. It is the perfect size to blend in your foundation routine super quickly, but still small enough that you can squeeze it, rotate it, use the different sides to get into those smaller, hard to reach areas. And the material and shape makes it just perfect for a seamless, soft, beautiful, flawless makeup application. If you don't believe me, just look at the rankings, all the reviews on TikTok Shop. You guys absolutely love it, and we are so grateful for your love and support. Thank you again for supporting our blind boxes that just launched last week. I cannot wait to see your guys' unboxing videos. Please make sure you film and you tag us here at Painted when you open up your blind boxes so we can see what color you got, or maybe even you'll be one of the lucky 12 to receive a painted golden sponge. Sponge number 1 all complete. Let's move on to the next one. Next up, Painted versus Morphe. Let's keep this beef a-cookin'. Ooh, yikes, James. This is the Morphe One and Done Makeup Sponge. As you guys can see, it is a similar teardrop shape, but there are 2 flat surfaces and a sharp edge at the top. Interesting sponge shape. I'm definitely open to seeing how this applies. And this retails for $9. So it does have the painted sponge beat by $1. Now this is how big it is dry, significantly smaller than the painted sponge. We're gonna do our dunk test. Once again, holding it under the water, giving it a couple of squeezes to get it fully saturated. Ooh, the material is really soft. It's very, very soft and smooth, but it's less porous than the painted sponge or like a typical beauty blender, for example, which is interesting because as I dip into this foundation, it means that it's not really gonna seep into the sponge, it's gonna sit on top of it, which could be good because you'll use less product, but also means that you might get a different finish. Now, the one thing that I don't love about this shape is that there's no like butt end. Every end has like a point to it, right? This side is the teardrop shape, it still has this point to it. You can put it on these flat surfaces, but then these have a harsh line at the bottom. There's no like endless round, just butt end surface like the painted sponge has, but it's really not that deep. And having these like flat edges could be actually really nice when it comes to carving out your contour or even adding on some powder. Okay, let's go ahead and apply it to the face. Ooh, already not nearly as much coverage as with the painted sponge. Like I told you guys, because this is less porous, that foundation is kind of just like sitting on top as opposed to really blending in. Okay, I'm gonna actually squeeze out a little bit more because maybe I just didn't use enough. When I squeezed out more, I was definitely able to layer more on for more coverage. However, I did probably use double the amount of foundation as the first time around in order to get the same level of coverage on my face. And I don't love that because it means you're gonna end up using more product in the long run. It is blending in really nicely. It's comfortable and easy to hold, but I will say, just like I mentioned, having this point or this line on any of the surfaces means that you're gonna have to blend for twice as long because when you first go in and apply, it leaves those little like diamond points of the sponge when you press it into your face. So you have to blend it in and then blend it in again to get rid of the sponge lines. Does that make sense?
It looks fucked up.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look terrible. And obviously with all these sponges, we're going to be nitpicking today. That is quite literally the entire point of this video. So I think that if you got the Morphe one and done sponge, you're not gonna be upset about it. It's $9, super cheap and affordable, and it is very soft. It's a good size to hold. The shape is nice, so you can really carve everything out. And for me, the Morphe sponge is going to be a 7 out of 10. The next ones that we're gonna try, I can't even believe this is real. I got this on Amazon. This is from the brand Unfovi, I think. A package of 2 of these was $9.77. So just under $5 per sponge, which is obviously very cheap. They have painted beat by 50%. I can't compete with that. However, the point of this sponge is that the outside tan bit is nice and squishy, but then it has these silicone pads here and here. And if you zoom in really, really close up, you see the lines and texture on that silicone surface. And that is meant to mimic your fingerprints on your fingers. And to me, that is so stupid and gimmicky. I can already tell you that's not gonna do a single thing, because the whole reason people like using their fingers to apply their foundation isn't because their fingerprints have a little bit of texture. It's because your fingers have natural warmth to them. So that warmth can help melt the product a little bit and help it blend into your skin. So having silicone mats on your sponge, I can already tell you, isn't gonna do shit. But alas, we will do our dunk test. I will go ahead and wring out all of the water. I'm also really curious about this too, because when you add water to a sponge, obviously they grow in size, but silicone does not grow in size when you add water to it. So how is it? Oh, right, it just stretches out the silicone. It's so dumb, it's so gimmicky, but you guys already know, we're here to try it out. We'll do some squirts of foundation onto the mixing palette once again. By the way, if you're ever interested in our painted mixing palettes, they are available on painted.co and TikTok shop. Only $10 for this. You can mix your base routine, your create paints, and so much more. Look at the side profile of this too. You can literally see how the sponge is growing, but because the silicone is not growing, it's like stretching the sponge around it to try to make the shape work. Fucking stupid. Should I use the sponge side or the silicone side? Maybe I'll do both. I'll dip in the sponge side and I'll do the other side of my face. Oh, see, I hate when you can see the shape of the sponge as you're applying it. It just means double the blending work, which is fine. Once again, it's not the end of the world, but we're nitpicking, right? The whole point is the quickest, fastest, most beautiful blending sponge. The application is not as smooth as the painted one, but the coverage is definitely better than the Morphe sponge, that is for sure. Now let me dip into the silicone side and do it on the other side of my face, I guess. It's not even like seeping into the sponge, it's just sitting on top of that silicone pad. Okay, here we go. Stuff like this just pisses me off because it's so gimmicky. It's just a scam to show up higher in the search results on platforms like Amazon, like TikTok Shop. Because for a lot of everyday people that aren't necessarily, makeup connoisseurs doing their research on different products, a sponge that claims to mimic your fingers probably sounds good to a lot of people. But then you order it and you get something like this that literally just doesn't work. So stupid. If you use the soft side of this, it does apply the foundation, so I can't give this a 0 out of 10, but it's gonna be really close. Obviously, the foundation is literally just sitting on top of the silicone pad. It doesn't apply nicely, it doesn't blend in nicely. When you add water to it, it just looks like it's getting stretched out. To me, the Unfovi, whatever finger pad print sponge this is getting a 2 out of 10. Even though it's only $5, don't waste your money on this shit. My face is going to be raw after scrubbing off all this foundation over and over and over again. Oh, I should also mention, I'm not using primer in between any of these foundation routines either. Obviously, it's just gonna get wiped off every single time, and I wanna see how it applies on just bare skin. Now this next sponge that I wanna try, we are going for size. Obviously, one of the main marketing points of the painted sponge has been how big it gets when you add water to it. So in today's video, I'm not discriminating. I am totally open to trying out bigger makeup sponges because they do exist, okay? So I purchased one of them from Sonia Kashuk, and this is the sponge completely dry. This is literally bigger than the painted sponge when it is fully wet. So I am, quite frankly, a little bit scared for this dunk test because I feel like this is going to end up being as large as my head, but maybe some people want that. I will say it is advertised as a body blender. So I assume that that means for fake tan, Halloween, or going on a red carpet, which I know is a super relatable everyday experience for all of you guys out there. These are on the market and they are sold for only $7.50. So maybe Miss Sonia Kashuk knows something that I don't. As always with our dunk test, we are putting this right into our painted bucket. This is getting so big in my hand. Oh my God, I'm wringing it out.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? Girl, Girl, what the hell? Oh my God, this is huge. See, that's the thing too when it comes to size. Obviously, we've been marketing the painted sponge as super size because it makes your makeup routine faster during the blending process. Something like this though, to me is like gimmicky. It's too big because who wants to hold a sponge this big to do your entire foundation routine? It would take half a bottle of foundation to even coat this entire surface to start blending it on. I do like the fact it does have a butt end, so that's nice. I cannot complain about that. It has a flat surface as well, so you can use it for concealer, and it has a nice point so you can really get into the nooks and crannies up here into the corners of your eyes. So all good things with the shape, but the size is absurd. Let's go ahead and squirt out a little bit more foundation onto our mixing palette. I guess I'll use the butt end, right? I'm gonna go right in on the butt end, get it nice and coated. Sonia Kashuk Body Blender. Oh, nice. Okay. It applies nicely, but because it is so big and thick, even though I wrung out, oh, I guess I didn't wring out all the water. Okay, I stand corrected. Let me squeeze it again. Oh my gosh. I thought I got all the water out of it, but clearly I didn't. And because of that, while I was applying it and blending it on, the foundation is not applying super evenly because a lot of water is getting mixed into the formula. Now, for some water-based foundations, that is perfectly fine. It could create a more beautiful natural finish, but for some foundations that are silicone or oil-based, adding water into that formulation could make it separate, which is gonna lead to uneven foundation application. And that is what was happening there. But now that I've wrung out the water, it's looking a little bit better. There are some areas that I do wish had more coverage. I will say it is so easy because of how big it is to blend down my entire neck in like a matter of seconds. That is obviously the point of, you know, a body blender. But as you guys can see, if I start blending on this cheek, there is basically no coverage left in that sponge. And I did do several squirts out onto this mixing palette, and it is literally all soaked up into that sponge already with only a third of my face being done. That is something to know. Obviously, bigger can mean faster and better, but it can also mean that more product gets seeped inside and you have to keep squirting out more and more and more and more. So while you're saving money on this $7.50 sponge, you could be losing money on buying more foundation in order to actually cover your face. All in all though, I like the sponge. It's a good price tag, $7.50. I think the material is nice, the shape is good, it allows you to apply it in kind of different ways, but it's not the most even coverage. It holds a little too much water and also sucks up a little too much foundation. So I'm gonna rank the Sonia Kashuk Body Blender a 7 out of 10. This next sponge that we're gonna try, I don't even want to do this. It's just gonna be a waste of time, but that's the point of this video, okay? Because unfortunately, these are sold in stores, and I know that some people have picked this up thinking it's going to genuinely help their makeup routine. We have a finger blender. These are sold at Target. I think stuff like this is so stupid. I know that I am a man.
Not by choice.
Not by choice.
What? You guys. I do feel like my fingers are, you know, small and dainty. They're not crazy man hands, okay? The hole inside of this is tiny. I had to really stretch it out, okay, in order to get my finger in there. And even now, it's like stuck, okay? What is the point in using a sponge on your finger when you could just use your actual finger or just hold the sponge? It's so gimmicky and stupid, but alas, let's do our dunk test. We're gonna dip it right into our painted bucket, and I'm gonna squeeze to get it fully saturated. This also was $9.59 for a package of 2 of them. So just under $5 for this here little lovely finger blender rocket.
Whoa.
What?
I'm not expecting that when you pulled it out.
Well, that's what happens when you get fingered. Oh, that's actually not what happens at all. I'm gay! Definitely got bigger. This is like a bullet shape, so it has like a nice round surface, which is not great because like slapping this on to do your makeup just feels weird. There is a flat teardrop surface here. I could see this being helpful for concealer. Getting in right here to like blend in the concealer, that could be nice. That I could be open to with like the flat edge. Applying foundation like on the side is just gonna be stupid. I'm gonna dip right into the foundation. It's not really picking up a lot either. It's leaving quite a lot on the mixing palette. Let's go. Here we go.
Nice.
I would rather eat this thing and hopefully get poisoned and die in the process than sit here and blend out my entire face of foundation, one little teardrop stamp at a time. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? It does apply the product, and I do understand the theory behind this. Like, to me, this is gimmicky, but I would rather have this than the silicone fingertip shit. Call me crazy, but at least this is doing something, right? Even though it did get significantly bigger when we added the water, it's still gonna make the blending process take literally 50 times as long with the surface of this sponge. No, thank you. Absolutely not. Complete waste of time. Although it is very cheap at less than $5, I'm gonna rate the Finger Blender Rocket Blaster a 4 out of 10. Block me then, fatty. If it's the only option, you could definitely do your makeup with it, but it's gimmicky. You can get a far far better sponge. Next sponge on the docket. This was a very viral sponge in the beauty community. I think it was Nikki Tutorials that put me and a lot of other people onto this a couple of years ago. The Juno & Co. Microfiber Sponge. What's interesting about this sponge is that it is, yes, a sponge, but it is almost coated in this like suede, soft microfiber coating, which basically claims that because the microfibers are so minuscule and tiny that it holds on to the liquid products better, applying more foundation and wasting less in the blending process. I remember really liking these sponges when I first tried them out, but it has been a couple of years because I feel like I just went back to my regular one. It was $11.99 for this main sponge and then 2 of these tiny little skinny ones. So technically $4 per sponge. However, I'm gonna be real, this to me is so stupid. What the fuck am I gonna use this for? This is even too small for concealer. I'm just gonna go ahead and say $12 for this sponge. Let's do our dunk test. We're gonna go ahead and get it submerged into the water. As always, we'll do some squeezing until it gets fully saturated and then we will wring out the water. Interestingly, as I'm putting this sponge into the water, it did expand, but it did not grow substantially. I think that this is actually gonna end up being a very yeah, it's almost the same size as when we put it in. It's a little bit bigger, maybe like 10 or 20% bigger, but nowhere near the same level of growth as, too many innuendos in this video, but nowhere near the level of growth as before. It's neither a grower nor a shower. It's also a lot more dense than a lot of the other sponges. It's not nearly as squishable and squeezable, which is not necessarily a bad thing, just an observation. Let's do some more squirts of the foundation. I'm gonna have to buy a whole new bottle by the end of this video. Shape of the sponge, definitely interesting. This whole side is fully rounded, but it does have this flat edge at the bottom. It is literally just a circle. So if I dip into this to apply the foundation, it's going to leave circle prints on my face, which is not my favorite, but obviously can easily be blended around. Just will take a little bit more blending effort, which I don't love. More time, more blending, slower makeup routine. We're docking points. But you can still definitely get a really nice seamless application. Let me try using the other side of the sponge to see how this applies. We have it right on there. Oh, you know what I don't like about this? Because of the fact that it's like hairy, basically, I feel like the foundation is like getting sucked into the hairs and coating them as opposed to sitting on top of the sponge ready to be blended in. Yeah, it's like really not giving a lot of coverage. It looks nice. It's definitely a more natural finish, which is totally fine. I know a lot of people really like that. I don't love the coverage as much as the painted sponge, but I do think it did a nice job of applying it evenly, better than the Morphe sponge, for example. So this is gonna get a pretty high ranking in my book. I'm gonna rank the Juno & Co. Microfiber Sponge. I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. It's a good one. Now, next up, we might just have the worst scam of the entire video. Now, all the time over on Painted, we compare our sponge to the OG brand Beauty Blender sponge because this is really the first makeup sponge that most people were exposed to. And even though our Painted sponge is half the price and double the size, I am always very respectful about the Beauty Blender because there's a reason why this is the OG. There's a reason why millions of people still have this in their makeup drawer all across the world. It's because it's a really great sponge and Beauty Blender is a really great brand. I'm just providing, in my opinion, a cheaper, better alternative. However, I will not be nice and I cannot defend Beauty Blender on this. Their cheeky mini sponge that costs $16. $20 for this sponge is already a lot of money that most people don't want to spend. $16 for this motherfucker that is literally half the size is pathetic. That is such a scam, such a waste of money, especially considering this probably cost them like maybe 5 cents to manufacture, maybe 10. Let's go ahead and get this nice and wet so we can see how big it actually grows. I'm not confident in it. Now I will say, obviously this is a mini sponge, so I will do the same and apply my foundation with it because that is the point of this video. But I assume that a sponge this small is definitely more intended for concealer. I get the logic behind creating a smaller version for concealer or harder to reach areas, but to me, it just doesn't seem necessary when you can just as easily squeeze this already small sponge right into those corners, right? Like nobody was sitting there saying, oh, my Beauty Blender is too big. I desperately need a smaller version. This is just so dumb and gimmicky. Even when it's fully wet, it is still smaller than an OG Beauty Blender. No, 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 no. $16, you have literally lost your mind. Let's squirt out some foundation. As always, I will dip in the little butt end. Here we go. Don't mind me, you guys, just gonna take an hour to apply over here.
2 hours later.
And here we are after 100 taps and still not even one corner of my face is fully covered.
Don't even get me started on the floor.
almost going to be worn down to a nub.
I will say, because I always give Beauty Blender credit where credit is due, they were obviously the OG. It's a good quality sponge. The material is nice. It picked up the product. It's blending it in nice and seamlessly. You are able to get an even finish that still looks natural without it literally being like a layer of cake over top. However, the size and the price of this is just so stupid. Even for just doing concealer, what is the point in having a sponge this small just for your under eye area, especially for $16? $16. In comparison, the next sponges that we can go ahead and try, I ordered this pack of mini sponges on Amazon that you can see are literally the same size as this mini beauty blender. And guess what? This set of 40 sponges cost me $8. That is 20 cents. 20 cents per sponge versus $16. No! This is fine. Okay, $20, you're already pushing it, but I get it. It's a good sponge. Everybody loves it. It's fine if you want to invest your money into it. 16 bucks, no. Nope, nope, nope. On to the next. Let's test out these in comparison. These literally look like little mini Easter eggs, like those tiny little chocolate eggs that you get at Easter time that are all wrapped in the pastel packaging. 40-piece mini sponge set, $8, 20 cents a pop, okay? And Beauty Blender thinks they're over here gonna charge you 16 bucks. For the sake of comparison, I will pull a pink sponge that is quite literally the exact same, and we're gonna do our makeup test using the tiny little pink one today, okay? Let's go ahead and dunk this into water. Here she is, all squeezed out. I will say the $16 Beauty Blender is a tiny little bit bigger, but there's still mini sponges that are gonna do nothing. $16, 20 cents. Let's be for real. We're gonna dip into our foundation, get it nice and coated on that butt end, and here we go, everybody. Oh, wow. Let me try that again, shall we? Okay, a little bit better. Maybe I just was out of foundation. Jesus. Although it is a cheaper alternative to the mini $16 Beauty Blender, at least the mini $16 Beauty Blender did in fact apply the product. This is somehow completely getting soaked up into this tiny little sponge and is barely applying anything onto the face and is leaving some nice circular patchiness and unevenness all throughout the blending process. You can still see literally all of my skin peeking through because it is applied virtually zero coverage. I'm not gonna give this victory to the Beauty Blender because this is still fucking ridiculous, but at least it worked. I would have loved if this was like an actual dupe and amazing alternative for this. I mean, 16 bucks versus 20 cents. Hello! Unfortunately, this is garbage. And although I saved myself, you know, roughly $15.80, unfortunately, this entire jar was a waste of $8. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that the size, the material, the shape, everything, all in all, is just a 2 out of 10. Don't waste your money on this. Next up, we're gonna try, I'm so excited for this, the craziest looking sponge I have ever seen, the Seashell Hermit Crab Makeup Sponge. Are you fucking kidding me? What is this going to do? Nothing, literally nothing. It's going to leave ridges in my face. Look at that, you can even see. It's not gonna apply it evenly. I bought the EcoTools Sea Gems Face Set. Now, with the pricing of this, it is kind of hard to calculate because obviously this came with a sponge and 3 different brushes. This whole set is $17.49, but if you divide that by 4, it's $4.37. But brushes are usually more expensive than a sponge, so we're just gonna call this $4 to make it easy. Let's go ahead and dip the seashell sponge into the water where it belongs, under the sea. I will say it's very soft. I think this sponge might have been made in the same manufacturer as the Morphe sponge because the material feels the exact same to me. It's very nice material. That was very Trumpian how I just said that. Very nice material. I've never seen a material better for a sponge ever. It's time to go. Let's wring it all out. It didn't get any bigger. I feel like this is like the exact same size. Maybe 10%, 20% maximum, but still a lovely little seashell. This is so stupid. Oh my God. I'll do a little bit on the butt end first, which is just this flat circle. Oh, surprisingly not too bad. The butt end is applying nicely and isn't leaving those same like circular indents in the foundation. And low key, the lumps of the seashell are kind of nice to like grip onto. It's kind of like the nice little like handle for the sponge.
You like it?
I do, it's not bad. Let me do a little bit more though, and I'm gonna dip into the side of the sponge because this is just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, here we go, ready? Like, come on, please be for real. Are we serious with this, you guys? Like, what is the point? I will give credit where credit is due. The bottom of the sponge works fine. The material is fine, it's soft, it's a good size for blending. This is a nice handle. However, what is the point of a huge makeup sponge that you can only use a very tiny surface of, right? All of this surface around the rest of the seashell is completely useless because it just leaves fucking indents and lumps and bumps into your base routine. And nobody wants that. This entire sponge is a complete waste of money because you can't use the rest of it. Gimmicky and stupid, but not as gimmicky or stupid as some of the other sponges. I'm gonna rank the EcoTools Seashell Blender. I'm gonna say a 5 out of 10 because it works a little bit. Enough of these tiny little gimmicky sponges. It's time for a big mama. I am gonna save this Tarte sponge for last that everyone has been comparing to the painted sponge on TikTok because I have a lot of thoughts about this. But for right now, let's try out the Ulta Beauty oversized sponge. It is this gorgeous neon orange color. It looks like a freaking football. Go long! And it has several flat edges, which is kind of weird. It has one rounded edge and then 3 flat edges. I can already tell you when I wet this, it's gonna be way too big, but let's go ahead and do the dunk test. Oh, there's some bubbles happening here. It literally is so big. Oh, holy shit. I can't even do one squeeze to get the sponge fully saturated. It's like too big to even hold all the water inside. Biggest pet peeve in the entire world is when you're like squeezing out a sponge or like washing your face with a washcloth and you go to wring something out and the fucking water decides to defy gravity and just crawl up your arm. So annoying. Like, oh my God, it's so irritating. Oh, get out of my fucking sleeve. Ah, too much water. This shape is absurd. Like, are you fucking serious? Yes, I will hold up the painted sponge next to it. This makes the painted sponge look pathetic. This is insanity. Like, are you kidding me? Obviously, shape has us beat. No questions asked. I have to respect that. However, is a sponge this size even actually useful? This is fucking ridiculous. The amount of foundation that you would have to use to even cover one of these surfaces to blend it in is, well, I guess we're gonna find it out. Let me stop yapping and complaining and let's actually test it out and see. We'll do a couple of squirts onto the palette. I will go ahead and get this entire surface covered. It took 5 squirts of foundation to get this entire surface of the sponge covered, okay? Let's see if we can do my entire face before it actually runs out. Okay, here we go. It's fucking hard. This is so fucking stupid. I mean, it's applying, it is working. There is a lot of water still left in this, even though I squeezed it out for like a good 2 minutes, which is not great because it means that it's blending water into the foundation formula. Also, I was able to get a nice coverage on the lower half of my face, but as I'm getting up to the forehead and we'll still have to get the neck and the ears, there is pretty much no coverage left in the sponge, despite the fact that I used literally 5 squirts of foundation. The problem is the sponge is so large that formula got sucked right into the sponge and is now sitting inside of here below the surface and is not actually getting applied, ow, to my face. I could see something like this being really, really helpful when it comes to like
Stopping a door.
yeah, throwing it at somebody to get their attention. I can see something that's being really helpful for like body makeup. Like again, spray tanning. For example, my mama, she has vitiligo all over her body. And sometimes when she goes out to the pool or a special event, she's not the most confident with it. So she'll use a body foundation on like her legs or her arms to cover up any sort of spots. So if you had any sort of thing like that, where you're trying to cover a large surface area with body foundation, but other than that, like I just can't imagine that something like this is practical or useful for actually doing your entire face of makeup. It did apply it. I was able to get it covered, but it wasn't comfortable. This thing is humongous. You would have a really hard time getting into any of the nooks and crannies because the sponge is quite literally just too big and it soaked up a ton of product. Despite the fact that it is humongous, this did not make my foundation routine easier. Oh, and I forgot to mention, to be fair, and to give them credit, this sponge is only $6.49 for this chunk of orange memory foam mattress. I mean, it is what it is. It applied the foundation. I had to do a little bit more work than normal and it hurt a little bit more than normal, slapping this against my face, but it did do its job. And the price tag, it's only $6.49. So definitely not the worst that we've tried out in this video so far today, but I think the size alone just makes this completely impractical, unless you're doing, again, a massive surface area that needs to be covered all at the same time, which most people are not. So I'm gonna rate the Ulta Beauty oversized sponge a 6 out of 10. It's good. good. It's not great. The next sponge literally looks like it got ran over by a car. These are the Sonia Kashuk just teardrop sponges. They are obviously flat, as you guys can see. The material, the shape, the size of these remind me a lot of the sponges that used to come included in a lot of powder foundations back in the day. I always remember stealing my mom's makeup bag and seeing sponges just like this and using it to like scrape on powder foundation when I was, sneaking into her bathroom as a little boy before I was out of the closet. Anyway, let's go ahead and squirt a couple of drops of foundation again onto our little mixing palette, and we will dip right in to see how this is going to apply. This will be really interesting because obviously this is a flat edge, but the surface is humongous. So I think we can get quite a lot of coverage at one time. Surprisingly, not great at all. Wow, it's like leaving all sorts of different marks and the coverage is terrible. It like literally soaked up all of the product. That was literally 4 squirts. You know what though? We said the same thing about that first Sonia Kashuk sponge. The material seemed and felt really nice, but upon actually applying, it seemed to soak up almost all the product. I was able to get a layer of coverage. It's just not full coverage. This sponge ended up eating almost all the foundation. It's not awful. I've definitely used worse in this video so far, but I think a sponge like this just is definitely not for me. I think the material could be improved, and it's also not very comfortable to hold either. Like, I think my fingers would start to get really cramped after a while of like bending them this way to hold this onto my face. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna rank the Sonia Kashuk flattened teardrop sponge, let's say a 4 out of 10. Next up, we have another sponge from Painted. And this is only because you guys have been begging for this over and over and over again in our TikTok comments. Everyone's asking me, can you apply your foundation using the golden sponge? No, you guys, I keep telling you, this is literally solid gold, like a trophy. This is hard. You can't add water to it. You can't squish it. Literally nothing's gonna happen, okay? If you open up your Painted blind box and get a golden sponge, first of all, congratulations. You better film your unboxing and tag us over at Painted so we can see, but this is meant to be a display piece, a trophy, and congratulations for winning the blind box contest, okay? When you scan the QR code that comes inside of your box, don't worry, you still get a sponge. In fact, you get all 6 of the colors and one of 6 insane prizes that we have showed you guys over and over again on our Painted socials. So when it comes to blending in your foundation, use one of the 6 colors, okay? That is what the sponges are for. Do not use your golden sponge. However, for the sake of today's video, I will do it just for you guys, okay? Let's do a couple of squirts on our Painted mixing palette, and just like the other ones, I will go ahead and dip this sponge right in, okay? Oh God. Here we go. Ow. Ooh. You know what? It's applying better with a lot more coverage than some of the other sponges we've used today. Doesn't feel great. It actually really hurts my face to keep slapping it on like this, but beauty is pain, am I right? Ooh, yum, gorgeous. We can go ahead and do some swiping action here to get some nice, gorgeous coverage. Kind of hard to get in the nooks and crannies, right? Can't squish it together. You know, as a CEO, I think it's always important to be super honest with your audience, and I'm not afraid to say that this golden sponge is not it when it comes to blending in your foundation, okay? It's not looking the best. It hurts. The size is nice. The shape is nice. It looks nice, gorgeous on your makeup shelf. It obviously comes with some amazing perks if you win it in a blind box. However, for the actual foundation makeup routine, I think it's safe to say that the golden sponge is not the best one that we've tried today. Surprisingly, it's not the worst. But I'm gonna go ahead and rank our Painted golden sponge, in this case, gotta say a 3 out of 10. Maybe a 4, just because she's cute. Next up, we have another sponge from Ulta, but this time it is their little squished marshmallow sponge. This is cute. I kind of like this one. I don't know why it's like ombre brown at the bottom. This is not foundation that's already been applied. It's ugly as hell. It looks burnt. Oh, maybe that's why. It's probably supposed to look like a burnt marshmallow on the bottom. I get it. It's still ugly. It's a cute little shape though. It's like easy to hold. It's flat on the bottom, but still rounded. So there's not gonna be any of those like circular prints on the face when you're blending it in. Love that. This is how it looks while it's dry. Let's go ahead and do our dunk test. Ooh, nice and squishy. This is the same material as the orange sponge, but it's definitely a bit squishier because it's not so big.
What?
Literally, hello? That's weird. It's not like filling up with water evenly, but when I squeeze it out, it's completely normal. That's so weird. I've never seen that happen before. Got pretty big. I would say that's a definite size increase from dry to wet. This is also only $4.99. Not bad. Let's see how it actually applies though. We're gonna dip it into our foundation. We're just gonna get it right on that butt end, getting it nice and evenly dispersed. And let's go ahead and apply. Hello? What is up with these sponges like soaking up so much product? Hello? Oh, that's nice. So far, upon first impression, I definitely like this a whole lot better than the gigantic oversized Ulta sponge. This is obviously a lot smaller. However, it's doing a better job of applying the product. It's not leaving any weird edges. It's comfortable to hold. The material is nice and it's applying evenly. It is giving a little bit more of like radiant natural coverage than full coverage, which not necessarily a bad thing, just something to note if you are purchasing. But for only $4.99, I definitely think out of all the sponges that we've tried so far today, this is probably the best cheap sponge. It's nice, it's soft, it's easy to hold, the material is, for only $5, you're definitely not gonna regret your spend. I would rank the Ulta Beauty Marshmallow Sponge, I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10. This is a good sponge. Now these next sponges that I wanna test out have been really viral on social media because a lot of people call these a dupe for the Beauty Blender. Now these are from the brand AOA Studio and they are called Paw Paw Wonder Blenders. And these come in a pack of 6 for $9.95. Cheap. $1.66 per sponge. Hello, that is a steal. Now, a lot of working makeup artists really stand by these because it's literally the same exact shape, size, and color as the OG Beauty Blender. The only thing different with them, if you squeeze them, it is not the same exact material. However, let's test out the Paw Paw Blender and see if the $1.66 sponge is just as good as the $20 blender. It's time for the dunk test. All right, we have our dry Paw Paw Wonder Sponge. Now we're gonna go ahead and dunk that right underneath the water surface. Give it a little squeeze, give it a little squitch right inside of there. Ooh, it's nice and soft. This is also probably made in the same manufacturer as the Morphe one and the Seashell one. It's that same really, really smooth, soft sponge material. I like it. Okay, we'll wring out all of the water. And this is how big it gets when it is wet. For comparison, you guys can see this next to a painted sponge. It's big, but it's not as big. Okay, we'll do, as always, a couple of squirts of foundation onto the plate. Then we will dip in with the butt end, getting it nice and coated, just like that. And then we will start applying. Ooh, oh. Well, that's annoying. Ugh. Aside from the fact that it does leave some of those like rounded sponge marks in the foundation when you first apply, you can easily blend over them and they do go away for a seamless finish. This is great upon first impressions. It's very soft, it's very squishable. It does a pretty good job of applying everything evenly and keeping that coverage while not making it look like a layer of cake over top of your face. That looks really, really good. Is it as good as the OG Beauty Blender? I will be honest and say, unfortunately, no, it's not. However, for the same exact size and shape, $20 versus $1.66, yeah. I'm gonna tell you to buy this every single day of the week. This is a great quality sponge, especially if you're a working makeup artist and you need to buy several in bulk if you have several clients throughout the day. If you bought these on Amazon, I think you'd be very, very happy with your purchase. The literal only downside is the fact that it leaves a bunch of those marks in the foundation, which is weird because there's no like harsh or sharp edges. It's all rounded. It just must be the material of the sponge. It's almost like too soft. I'm gonna go ahead and rank the Paw Paw Wonder whatever. I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. This is a really good sponge and for less than $2, hello, I gotta be real, I'm impressed. Okay, we have one last and final sponge that we need to discuss in today's video that has been quite a topic of discussion over on Sponge Talk. Tarte has released an oversized makeup sponge that quite literally looks like a football. This thing is humongous, and the reason why I found out about this is because several creators thought it would be funny or shady to say, if you don't like James Charles, you need to buy the Tarte sponge instead. I'm not even gonna insert the video because I don't wanna give the girl attention, but she's literally in a shower because she needed a shower head to get this thing soaking wet, blending in her foundation. If you thought that this one was big, just wait and see what happens when you add water to this Tarte sponge. I'm the one sitting over here saying bigger sponges, easier, faster in your makeup routine, but there should be a size limit because it gets to a point where it's not actually making anything faster or easier. It just looks stupid and is really, really gimmicky. And if this sponge comes out of this bucket looking anything like I think it's going to, spoiler alert, okay, it's not gonna be worth it. Literally need 2 hands to squeeze this out. How much does this cost, by the way?
That Frankenstein monstrosity is a whopping $24.
Oh, fucking please. Tarte, get it together. $24? I don't think so. Who wants to spend $24 on a makeup sponge? It's even more expensive than Beauty Blender. That's officially the most expensive one in this entire video, especially when Ulta, oh my God. Especially when Ulta's selling their oversized sponge for $6. 24? You're scamming. You're scamming and you're lying to people because nobody needs this. This is absurd. And you want to see this next to the painted sponge? Here you go. This makes our sponge look like a newborn baby. This is like when Pluto got kicked out of the solar system. Who needs this shit? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No! You can tell that they made a product like this literally just to get people talking online. They need viral videos, they need people selling it, and of course for me, I'm a super easy topic for influencers that have literally no talent or interesting personality, so they have to shade me and my products in order to promote something else. Losers! Losers! Let's see. We have a flat circle on the bottom, a flat teardrop shape on the top, and then literally the entire football.
That could plug the muffler on a school bus. That is so fucking big.
This is ridiculous. Like, are you kidding me? It's so stupid. Here we go. You know what? It does apply nicely. For being a gigantic sponge, it's at least applying better than the oversized Ulta one did. The material of this is significantly better quality. It's softer, whereas this one was extremely dense, which did not feel very nice on the face. This one is not nearly as harsh. So it is blending out pretty nicely. Oh my God, let me literally squish this entire thing to get underneath my eyes. Similar to the Ulta one and the Sonia Kashuk one, because it is so big, even though I fully wrung it out, you can tell that there's still a lot of leftover residual water inside of the sponge. It's not coming out in drips, but it's still very wet as a whole. So a lot of that water is mixing in with the foundation formula and lessening the coverage, which I don't love because after 5 squirts of foundation, I still feel like my face needs a little bit of extra coverage, and I haven't even gotten to my neck. I haven't even gotten to my neck or my ears yet, and I have nothing left, which is shocking considering it looks like I have quite a lot left, but there is no coverage left on there. It's blank, it's empty. I'll keep it real with you guys, even though I think this is pretty gimmicky and stupid, it's not awful. I think if you have a ton of money or if something possesses you or curses you really to spend $24 on a makeup sponge and you get this in the mail, you're not gonna be upset about it. It does do a good job of applying the products. However, this gets into that conversation of balance, right? I'm the one who talks about oversized sponges all the time, makes everything faster and easier, but when something is so big, it starts to take away from that process. This is so huge. It took me like double the time to actually fill with water. It took double the time to wring it out. There's still water inside of the sponge. This would be so difficult to actually clean, and you need so much product dispersed into this to actually get even full coverage all throughout your face because it just gets sucked right up inside of here. You guys can see, I only put it on that surface, and look at how much foundation has already seeped all around and through the sponge. And for $24, that officially makes this the most expensive sponge of the entire video, and it really goes to show how much of a scam it is when Ulta is selling one at pretty much the same exact size for $6. 4 times the price. Tarte, get it together, girl. I'm gonna rank the Tarte oversized sponge I'm gonna say a 6. It's not a bad product, but for every influencer that's trying to say it's better than the painted sponge, that's all. On that note, you guys, that is officially all of the makeup sponges I could find, tried, tested, compared, applied, and ranked. And I think it goes without saying, at least in my opinion, but hey, that's what you're here for, right? The painted sponge is definitely the #1. I'm sorry, you just can't beat it. In terms of the size, the price, and how it actually blends your makeup routine, the painted sponge truly is the best one on the market for a reason. The results and the reviews do not lie. We are the #1 bestseller, and it's all thanks to you guys. If you have not yet added a painted sponge to your collection, our blind boxes are currently sold out. Thank you again to all of your love and support on this launch. We are definitely working on bringing them back in the future, and hopefully we'll be able to include the teal sponge that all of you guys are asking about over and over and over again on our painted socials. But of course, for right now, the classic white painted sponge is still available in stock and ready to be added to your makeup collection. However, if you don't like me, if you don't like painted, that's okay too. I don't know why you're watching. But there were some other great ones that we tried out in today's video that if you wanted to purchase, I think you'd be super happy with them as well. It just goes to show not all sponges are in fact created equal. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. Definitely let me know in the comment section if you guys would be interested in more ranking videos in the future. We could rank really anything as a part of the makeup routine. I'm always down to try out new things and give you guys my honest, unfiltered, unpaid thoughts and feedback. If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up down below. Your love and support really helps out the channel a ton. And if you want to follow me on my social media platforms, hello, my Instagram and TikTok are just James Charles. If you want to follow Painted on TikTok, it's @Painted, or our Instagram and website are both just painted.com. Co. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I will see you next Friday at 12 p.m. PST for a brand new video. Goodbye.